ask everyone, we'll see what they think. It's page 303. We recited up to ayah. So we recited up to ayah number 92. Surat AlKahf. Going to continue from ayah number 93, inshallah. So what is the message and story of Halaqah? It's very, very, very important because it's the last one in the story, in the surah, and there's barely a few ayat after it to kind of wrap up the surah. The surah that talks about the basic elements that are needed to build societies, to build civilizations, communities, powers, groups of people, populations. It started out with the idea, moved on to wealth, talked about knowledge. Each one of these stories were stories that had a lot of depth to them, a lot of different angles that is looked at regarding these three elements. And then this final story is an example of when all three come together and the paradigm you get and the example that is going to be put in front of us. The example of someone who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makkanna lahu fil ardi, established him on this earth, gave him all the means he needed. Min kulli shay'in sababa, he had a mean from everything. He did not lack the idea, he did not lack the values and the law, he did not lack the wealth, he did not lack the knowledge. And when all the people come together, power and status came with it, and he did not lack that either. He had numbers, there were people with him. So when you put all those things together, you end up with true power on earth. Now what is the point of it? What is it supposed to do? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows us Dhul Qarnayn going to three journeys to people at the end of the earth, some in the far west, some in the far east, people that he probably doesn't know. When the Quran talks about far west and far east, that means that to him these are foreigners. These are people he does not know. There is no relationship between him and them. Yet every time he came across a group, whatever it is they lacked, he offered. Whatever he found that they lacked, whatever he found that they lacked, he offered them. If they lacked the law, he established the law. If they lacked the wealth, he gave them the wealth. In the third story, you're going to find that they lack the knowledge, they lack the willpower, and he's going to offer them that. The concept of when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finally establishes you and gives you all the elements that you need to build your society, to build your civilization, you give, you don't take. You start to give, you start to spread khair, you look at those around you, what's missing them, and you offer it to them. You are not there to take what they have, you're not there to exploit them, you're not there to enslave them, rather you are there to see what is it that they missed, that they could possibly benefit from, and then you offer it. And you're going to see that the first two stories were subtle, meaning the way that the story was told was simple. Now the third story, there's more detail. You're going to hear Dhul Qarnayn speak and say things and talk to people, and you'll find the ideas that I'm telling you very, very clear within the context of the story. Why Dhul Qarnayn? Because he's the paradigm of the dualities, of two things: having the power and justice, having the knowledge and the will. There's always something, having the materialistic ability and having the spiritual one, having the law, but as well having the numbers. There's always something missing. When you look at when you look at the different fields of life, there's always two things you have to bring in two elements in order to make it to complete something. And for him, Dhul Qarnayn, it's as if he's carrying the two horns of. It's it's as if he caught the bull from both horns. And now he makkanna lahu fil ard. He's established power on earth. He has the bull from both horns. Can't go anywhere. He has the power. He has the ability to make the shots, to make the calls, to change things. So when he's given that, now that is dangerous. If you are given that for any reason, are there civilizations in history and today that have the ability to call the shots and to make the differences? And yes, there are. What do they do? What has history shown us in terms of civilizations treating weaker minorities or weaker civilizations at any time within history? Things are always a bit difficult. Sometimes you see a lot of oppression, a lot of aggression, a lot of hatred, a lot of blood, and then you see Dhul Qarnayn. The example is, okay, here's Dhul Qarnayn. Take a look at him. Another thing we're going to talk about in the story is that there are 5 populations in the story of Dhul Qarnayn. All right? There are Dhul Qarnayn, his group, the group that had all elements. He wasn't alone, obviously, he had an army. So the population, he's not an individual, he's a part of a generation of people. Obviously, he left with many. So, Dhul Qarnayn, that's one. And then, there's the first Ummah, في مغرب الشمس, where the sun set in the east, in the west. في عين حمئة, they had all the muddy water. They were people who had a lot of, agriculture was rich, they had a lot of money, but they didn't have the law, they were oppressors, they were killing one another. Right? So they lacked the law, they lacked the idea. And then there was the group of people who لم نجعل لهم من دونها سترا. They were exposed to the sun, they had nothing to protect them, they were poor, they were financially had nothing. Right? The third ummah, financially lacking. The third ummah that he's going to come to, or ummah, he's not talking to Ya'juj and Ma'juj, he's talking to another ummah who seem to have everything but the knowledge. They don't seem to know how, they have the numbers, they seem to have some iman even in them, they seem to have some money, because they're going to offer him money, but they don't seem to have the knowledge of how to do things and get the job done. And then there's the fifth ummah, Ya'juj and Ma'juj, the ones who are corrupt, who are destroying the earth. So 5 ummahs, which one are we? as if when you're reading the story, which ummah are we? Which ummah are we supposed to be? And which ummah are we? Does that make sense? Like there's okay, these are the 5 types of ummah. One that has it all, one that is totally corrupt, one that lacks the idea, one that lacks the wealth, and one that lacks the knowledge. Which one are you? Which one are you supposed to be? Who are you supposed to be like? Are we not supposed to be like Dhul Qarnayn and those who are around him? And if we are not like him, then who are we like right now? And if you can identify which group we are more like than the other, then you have an ability to actually change it, because you know what you lack. And if you can see what you lack, then you know which story you need to focus on. And I think we're more like the third, that's why I left it till the end. I believe we're more like the third group than any other, or the fourth group, if you're counting them, the group that lacked the knowledge. And not talking about the idea. The idea is the deen. They had the ideology. We have the ideology, we have the book, we know the guidance. When I mean that we lack the knowledge, we lack the theory and the practice. We lack the will to take what we have and actually move it forward, and actually practice it on the ground. Because we don't lack wealth, we have wealth. We don't lack the idea, and we're not corrupt. We're not running around. Well, maybe some of us are, but the majority of us are not. The majority of us aren't like that. And unfortunately, we're not like Dhul Qarnayn. He comes across the first 2 groups, the group that lacked the idea, and he established a law for them. He gave them the values. أما من ظلم فسوف نعذبه. يعني وأما من آمن وعمل صالحا فله جزاء الحسنى. Those who oppress, we will punish them, and then Allah will punish them. And those who behave properly and do good deeds and believe, we will treat them to the best of treatments. So he established a law for them. The second group, they had nothing. كذلك, he gave them what they needed. What was missing for them was wealth. He established that for them as well. Now the third group that you'll come across, and they're a bit more interesting. Why? Because when he came across them, he found two mountains, 2 very high mountains, and within these mountains was a population. They were living there. When he came and spoke to them, قَوْمًا لَا يَكَادُونَ يَفْقَهُونَ قَوْلًا. He found them to be very simple. He probably found their population to be very distracted by other things. So when he spoke to them about faith, and he spoke to them about wealth, and he spoke to them about knowledge, and he spoke to them about community and society and civilization, they didn't understand what he was talking about. Just like if you walk into a group of youth today, you start preaching, talking about these issues, they look at you, what are you talking about? What is community and Islam and society and civilization and deen and practice and ummah, and what is this? What do you go do what you لا يكادون يفقهون قولا. They can barely understand what he's talking about. He's speaking on a very high level. He آتيناه من كل شيء سببا. He had a means from everything. If it was knowledge you were looking for, he had the top people. If it was power, if it was wealth, if it was the idea, it was the values, he had it all. So he spoke from a very intellectual background. Dhul Qarnayn, he was speaking to them, trying to explain. ثم أتبع سببا. And he's the type of person who will follow the means. He'll continue to add to the means that he has. He never stops. He never stops putting his effort. He comes to people لا يكادون يفقهون قولا. Have very little. You're going to see, do they have little money? No, they're going to offer him money in a minute. Do they have smaller numbers? No, they have a lot of people. Are they fighting one another? No, they're actually being invaded from outside. They're good with one another, they're fine. They've established Allah, they're fine, they don't need anything. It's the people outside, they can't seem to protect themselves. They can't seem to protect themselves from an external effect.
Are you connecting the dots here, or are you not connecting the dots? A group of people who can't seem to protect themselves from external effects. They don't know how to do it, even though they have the numbers, they have the wealth, they have the idea, everything is there, but they don't know how to do it. They can't seem to find a way to protect themselves. So they turn to Dhul Qarnayn. Right? It's an extremely important example here. They come to them, they don't seem to understand. I'm talking to you about Iman, I'm talking to you about Hadar, I'm talking to you about Istikhlaf, I'm talking to you about Ubudiyyah, I'm talking to you about serving Allah, being a community. Why, they don't understand what he's talking about. But they have all the elements. It's just like they didn't put them all in one. It's like they just can't seem to get it all together. So they told him, قالوا يا ذا القرنين. I think we read up to 94. I believe we read up. No, did we not read up to 94? I just want to repeat anything we read. قالوا يا ذا القرنين. They said, oh ذا القرنين. إن يأجوج ومأجوج. Another, the fifth ummah, Gog and Magog. They come from the concept of ajaja wa majaja, and both words have the concept of confusion, of merging, of elements, of a lot of chaos that in the words, whether it's fire or it's water. And they are the symbol for chaos within the Quran wherever you find it. It's only you don't find it very often. Mufsiduna fil ard. They are corrupt in earth. These people know what corruption is. If they didn't have a law, they wouldn't know what corruption was. But since they know that these people are corrupt, they must have a law. They must have some form of governance, or else there would be no point of using the word mufsiduna fil ard. فَهَلْ نَجْعَلُ لَكَ خَرْجًا. How about we? So there's a group of them. There's not one or two people. There's a group. There are numbers here. خَرْجًا. How about we give you tax so they have money? Understand? When once they're established, they've got it all. عَلَى أَن تَجْعَلَ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ. But we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to do it. We just don't have the practical understanding and know. We don't know how to organize ourselves properly. We don't know how to do it. عَلَى أَن تَجْعَلَ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ سَدًّا. Can you put a barrier between us and them? It's like they have a couple of times a year where they just raid us, they kill, they take, they destroy, and then they leave, and then we have to pick up the pieces, and we don't seem to know how to protect ourselves. And then Dhul Qarnayn is going to answer. We're going to read ayah number 95 inshallah, and hear Dhul Qarnayn. Again, the ayat that are coming are summarize the whole story, or understand the values of Dhul Qarnayn, the goal of Dhul Qarnayn, the type of person he was, and what the ummah that he was a part of, what their message was, what their purpose was going to be. In case it wasn't clear within the first two stories, it'll become very clear in this one. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال ما مكني فيه ربي خير. فأعينوني بقوة أجعل بينكم وبينهم ردما. He said, ما مكني فيه ربي. What my Lord has established me within. Going back to the first ayah on the page, إنا مكنا له في الأرض. He was established on earth at Tamkeen, which is the goal. If you are capable of obtaining that, becoming established on the earth where you have power, we have all the elements that lead up to power. Power is the way the surah is telling us what it is. It is the natural next step of obtaining all the elements before it. This is the point that I want to make very clear to all of us in the way we look at this. That in order for when we have power and when we have status, it is not something that is artificially obtained. It is the natural next step of putting together the ideology, putting together the wealth, and and having the proper knowledge and practice. When all these three come together, the natural next step will be finally having that power. Meaning having a voice, meaning being able to establish yourself with your community so that you can achieve goals and move forward and do what you need to, and have representation in every field that you would like to be represented in. قَالَ مَا مَكَّنِّي فِيهِ رَبِّي خَيْرٌ. What my Lord has established me within is better than whatever it is you're going to offer me. I don't need money. He's refusing to take money. I want you to think about that from a national point of view, right? One country is offering help to another country. It's refusing to take money, even though what he's going to do is going to protect them, actual protection. He is refusing to take any of their wealth. How many times has that ever happened? Have you ever heard of that before? Have you ever seen it as an example today? Very difficult. One country do something else for another country for free? For nothing? Dream on. That's not happening. قال ما مكنني فيه ربي خير. I don't want your money. فأعينوني بقوة. What I will benefit from is help me with your strength, with your people, with your numbers. Why? Come help me. I'm not going to do this for you. I'm going to teach you how to do it. Come, I will teach you how it's done so that you can continue to do this later. So bring me your numbers, let me show you how it's going to be done. I will be there with you. I'm not going to give you a handbook and walk away. No. I will do it with you, but I need you to be involved. I'm not going to do it for you. Are you understanding the difference here? فَأَعِنُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ. He's sharing the knowledge that he has. These are the values that Dhul Qarnayn we're seeing in Dhul Qarnayn. Every time he comes to a group of people, whatever it is they lack, he offers. He withholds nothing. He is not trying to run a monopoly on the laws that he has, on the wealth that he has, on the knowledge that he possesses. Nothing. It's nothing like that. What do you guys need? Alhamdulillah, we are mukkinna fil ard. We have been established here on earth. We will offer you whatever khair we can offer you, because this is the point. This is the point of obtaining all these things. This is the goal of it all. فَأَعِنُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ. Offer me some help, some strength. I need some people. أَجْعَلْ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُمْ. I will establish between you and them radama, a double barrier. A radam is when there are two barriers and something is put in the middle. So a sad is just one level barrier. Radam is when there's something in between. In Arabic, يردموه, and then you would put rocks or teen or soil of the earth between two barriers to make it harder for you to actually get through it. So they asked for a sad. He said, no, I'm going to do a radim for you. I'm going to do something much better, something much stronger, something that when it's just there, it's going to be very hard for them to ever go through it. But I need help. Come help me. فَأَعِنُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ. All right. آتوني زبر الحديد.
آتوني زبر الحديد.
حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين.
حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين.
قال انفخوا. حتى إذا جعله نارا. قال آتوني أفرغ عليه قطرا. آتوني زبر الحديد. Give me sheets of iron. I need sheets of iron. I need them to look in a certain way. He's teaching them right now. You're going to bring me the sheets of iron. This is what we're going to do. We're going to make a barrier of rock and stone and earth, and then we're going to put two barriers on both sides. We're going to level it up with sheets of iron from this side and then from this side. So آتوني زبر الحديد حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين. They build up the barrier from stone and rock and soil. So the صدفين are the cliffs. So the side of a mountain is called a صدف. Sadafaini means the two sides of the mountains, the two cliffs of the mountain, because between these two mountains where Ya'juj and Ma'juj would come through. There's no other way to enter the land that they live in. This is the only way for it to happen. So if they close it properly, then Ya'juj and Ma'juj have no way to hurt these people anymore. So they put up the barrier. They put up really high. Once it was up there, حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين, was leveled now between the two cliffs. قال انفخوا. They start to bring what's nuhas, copper. So they have to bring copper, and then they would turn it into liquid copper. So it would be heated to a very, very high degree. قال انفخوا. انفخوا means start put
Cool it down.
Allahu A'lam, it's the opposite. Unfukhu fil nar, unfukhu fil kiran. So the way that they would have fire is that you blow air into the fire to make the fire strong enough so that the copper can be liquefied. So unfukhu, okay, start strengthening the fire so that we can liquefy this copper. Again, you can see when you look at the words in the ayah, one thing he does, one thing they do. Atuni zubara, you bring the iron, the sheets of iron. Hatta idha sawa bayna as-sadafayn, he took care of leveling it. When he did the qala anfukhu, okay, he started blowing into it. Qala anfukhu. Hatta idha ja'alahu naran, until when he turned it into something that is similar to fire, meaning the copper was liquefied to the point that it's catching fire. Hatta idha ja'alahu naran. Qala atuni, bring it to me. أُفْرِغْ عَلَيْهِ قِطْرًا. On the sheets of iron, we're going to put the liquid copper to hold it down from both sides. So now, without getting into too much detail of how, but what we learn from this is that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually describing for us is a process. It's a process that has physics, chemistry, teamwork, management. It has right? We worship Allah by reading an ayah that explains to us how to do it properly, how to do it well, how to do it in a way where it's going to work. It's not doing, it's not half-assing the job. It's not doing anyway, just khalas, we'll just put it however, and then if it works, no, he's going to do it perfectly. He's going to make sure he's overseeing and he's supervising everything, and he's doing it with double layers, and he's using sheets of iron, and he's using liquefied copper to hold it down, and he's teaching them how to do it in the process. So another value you find from Dhul Qarnayn, not just the fact that he is someone who is just, who has the values of Iman. He's not only that he is generous with his wealth, when people need it, he will give it to them. Not only when he is offered money to do something that people need, he will refuse. Not only will he have others participate in learning how to do it, not only will he teach them, he will perfect his job. These are the values that Dhul Qarnayn carried. When he does a job, he does it well. How long do you think this took? Think it was just a day or two? This obviously took a long time. He obviously had to stay where he was and fix the problem for them before he left. He invested his time. Alayhi salam radiyallahu anhu, however you want to call him. He invested his time in helping these people. These are the values that we learn from Dhul Qarnayn. That not only did he didn't withhold the secret ingredient how it's going to work. He didn't bring the copper and then no one can see this, and then he does it. But no, here, let me show you. Here are the sheets. Here's what you need to do. Strengthen the fire. Now you have to pour it on this side, pour it on that side. Now it's gonna hold. And they learned. So if this ever happens again later, they can fix it. If there's a breach, they can fix it. Yes.
So if Ya'juj and Ma'juj kept attacking, how were they able to build the wall?
So it wasn't like that. So they weren't attacking every day. It was more like raids. Back in the day, like historically, corrupted tribes, and this is in Arabia as well. So the same thing existed in Arabia. They wouldn't. It wasn't a daily thing. They wouldn't get up in the morning, get on here and go raid and then come back in the next day. It would be more of like a periodic thing, because if that was going to be the way of doing it, then it would just be continuous war. But that's not what they did. They would periodically, every couple of months, every year, there would be a time where the crops are the ripest or the people have the most money, and they would raid once. Because there's a lot of alliances and a lot of allegiances within a territory between different tribes that would probably cause to make it very hard to raid them. So Ya'juj and Ma'juj apparently mufsidun fil ard, everywhere. They were corrupted. They had already raided. And one of the tafseer that exists for la yakaduna yafqahuna qawla is that they were in such shock of the recent raid of Ya'juj and Ma'juj that they didn't know what to say. Meaning there was so much blood and so much death and so much destruction that they were speechless. That's one of the tafsir that exists for that, because it just happened. So he's going to stand there and fix this problem. Another thing is, Ya'juj and Ma'juj with the existence of Dhul Qarnayn there are not going to come close. With the existence of Dhul Qarnayn and his army, they're not going to come close. They're only going to wait until he leaves. Now, the thing is, he can't stay there forever. He's going to have to leave. So he wants to teach them how to do it. Okay, here's what you need to put up. They outnumber you vastly, so you're not going to be able to fight them off. But let's do this with the rajm and put it properly. They asked for one thing, he gave them two. Actually, they asked for one thing, he gave them many. They asked for one solution, he gave them a better solution. He had them participate and cooperate with him, and then he taught them how to do it. And that is those are the values of powerful nations. Yes.
The ayah before, where it says, قال أما من ظلم فسوف نعذبه.
Yeah.
Right? Is there a lesson here that Dhul Qarnayn isn't punishing Ya'juj or Ma'juj because they are doing dhulm, right, against here, but he's taking not the step to punish them, but rather to protect?
Sure.
Is there a lesson or any?
So the first one, سوف نعذبه, is the punishment of the law. Meaning the first group, they didn't have the rules, they didn't have the ethics, they didn't have the values that are needed. You see, when you come to a group and they don't know what's right and wrong, what's halal and haram, what we should stand for, what we shouldn't stand for, how we should deal with those who are who are ethically compromised. What is ethics and what is our moral compass? When he brought that to them, they established a law. When the law was established, okay, so if you steal now, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be punished. So he's going to be punished, the person who breaks the law. So what he was establishing a law for a people. It wasn't a matter of going to war. You see, Dhul Qarnayn was not a warmonger. He wasn't out there thirsty for blood, looking for people to fight, looking to start, to dominate. No, he came to these people who are pressing each other, meaning it's not an external problem, it's an internal one. It's a problem within our community. We are oppressing one another. We need a law so that we can stop doing that, so that we can start obeying. Those who cross that will be punished, and then they'll learn, they won't do it again, and we can establish land, they can start standing up on our feet again, because we have some way to protect our own values and protect our community. For them, it was a different thing. They are asking for help from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. For him to go and fight Ya'juj and Ma'juj, he's fighting their fight for them. He doesn't want to fight their fight for them. You're not supposed to fight people's fight. You're not supposed to go and fix someone's problem. No, you're supposed to teach them how to fix their own problem. Give them the strategies, give them the tools, give them the knowledge, give them the way so that they can learn to fix their problems. And we've learned that through history a lot. If there's a population that is being oppressed by anyone, if you go and free them, you don't really free them. You just move one dictator so the other one comes and takes over. And if you move that dictator, a third one will come up, and it never works out because you can't fight people's fights. You can offer them the tools so they can fight their fights, but you can't do it for them. This is something that historically has always been known. That's why for most of the world, maybe besides this continent or subcontinent, what the United States and other countries do for overseas countries is an open book. It's an open book. It's known. You never go and fight someone's fight. You never do that. If you see a dictator, you want to get rid of him, that's not how you do it. You don't do it by bringing your troops into the country and destroying him that's not how you do it. You offer the population, if they lack wealth, then you make sure that they're well taken, if they're under the level of the line of poverty, you make sure that they're not. If they're lacking education, you offer it to them. Whatever it is that they are missing, you make sure you offer it to them. It's not about going and fighting someone's fight. Aren't we taught that with our children? If every time your kid is bullied at school, you go and you punch the kid who did that in the face, or then your child will never learn to take care of themselves. Rather, offer him the tool, offer him the knowledge, whatever he's lacking, so that he can take care of himself. And this is exactly what Dhul Qarnayn did here. He didn't fight their fight for them. He's like, I'm not going to go fight Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Yes, they're mufsidun, but that's not my war. That's not my problem. That's yours. You need to fix this. But you need help. You're asking for help. Tikramu. There's help. Let me help you. Yes, fadl.
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
And for those.
No, I was done. Yeah.
Yeah, like the word, like where the meaning that copper was used come from? Is that qitr?
أفرغ عليه قطرة. فالقطر هو النحاس المذاب. فأفرغ عليه قطرة. I'm going to unload upon it liquefied copper. فالقطر وأسلنا له عين القطر. وهذا في سورة السبأ talking about Dawood عليه السلام. So it's the same word. And so liquefying metals is is relatively a modern science. It's not something that is that's easy to come by, to find people who actually know how to do it, to know to what degree they need to do it, and then at what degree it'll cool down, and then how to apply it properly. That's something that takes a lot of time. Yes, it's something I don't know. Again, like I'm too ignorant to even know what this is going to turn into. but the fact that it is described in the Quran, clearly this is the example of the knowledge that he had, right? So he had the knowledge and he did not withhold it. And they didn't know it. They didn't know these things. They didn't have the science. They didn't have the knowledge. That's what they lacked. They lacked how to do stuff. They had Zubar al-Hadid. They had the sheets. They had the copper. They didn't know how to do it.
Like I always thought that he melted the steel, but it makes sense because copper melts at lower temperature. Melting steel probably in those days were not. Yeah,
well, something they couldn't do. I don't see even the point of them trying to do that. Yeah. But the idea coming down to that they had all the tools, they had all the elements. They didn't know how to do things. And isn't that what we're lacking today? Yeah, the book is here, the numbers are here, the money is here, the expertise is here. What's missing? What is missing? Why aren't we something similar to Dhul Qarnayn? Why isn't the khair of this ummah, of our communities, stretching out to everyone? Because that's what it's supposed to, isn't that what we're taught here in Dhul Qarnayn? Once you have it all, then your khair will stretch out to everyone around you. Whatever they need, you will offer them because you have the ability to offer them. فَقْدُ الشَّيْءِ لَا يُعْطِيهِ. If you don't have it, you can't offer it. Right? We can't offer da'wah properly because we don't have it. We don't have the elements. We can't do anything. We're struggling to survive. We can barely survive. But if you do change that, then the khair will spread into every direction. And then every group of people who lack anything, they'll find what they lack within you. And you have it to offer them and you can help them out. But we have to start with ourselves. We have to reach the degree of Dhul Qarnayn. Regardless of the politics of the story, forget about the politics for a moment, because politics is something that will come when it comes. But the concept of the elements that you need to build a society, the power, the organization that needs the idea, the wealth, and the knowledge, do we not have them? Why can't we seem to get it done? And if we do, that's the best form of da'wah. And if we do, that's the way you establish, you get change. Yes.
Here, these people, they told Dhul Qarnayn
Yes.
that Juju and Majuj, they are corrupted people. So, did he prove, Dhul Qarnayn, did he prove that these people they were corrupted? Really, or just he listened to their voice and cover their place?
So I think something that was clear when he made it there was the number of times that they had raided the city. So the city was raided by Ya'juj and Ma'juj a number of times. I mean, to clarify that wouldn't make much sense, and the reason being he's not being told by one or two people. When you come to a community and the community tells you the same story, look, this tribe raids us every year, they took my kid, they took my wife, they killed my father, they destroyed my house, and everyone, you don't need to establish it. That's one. The second thing is he never actually went and punished them. Now, had he went to punish them, then yes, he would need to actually establish that was a true claim, that the claim wasn't false. But he never actually did anything. He just taught them how to protect themselves. Basically, they're saying we need protection. These people are corrupt. Whether they're corrupt or not is not important. If you're asking for protection, I will teach you how to protect yourselves. I will show you how to do it. I will show you how to close in this opening so that you can stay safe. And that is regardless whether they were actually corrupt or not. I don't think it makes that much of a difference in the story. And I think Ya'juj and Ma'juj were known in the land.
Like that means they attack people.
Yeah, I think they were known. Yeah. Wallahu a'lam, the Ya'juj and Ma'juj were not. It wasn't the first time that Dhul Qarnayn heard of them. Meaning it was their reputation preceded them, and they were known. But there's an example of people who were being harmed by them at the time.
And it's Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is confirming that.
Yes, exactly. But no, he's just asking, like, would it be okay for us to punish people without establishing?
It doesn't give us details.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
gang's time. This is a gang.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, there's a lot of myths regarding Ya'juj and Ma'juj and the end of time. But and I'm not going to go into any. Yes.
No, you have to. Where was it? Where was it roughly? Where about?
Where? No idea. No one has any idea. And please, leave that question and never ask that question, because you will find 25 to 26 different opinions on it. I'm not going into it. No, I'm not going into it.
There's a hadith, sahih.
There's hadith. There's different ahadith. And going through the mass of these ahadith, whether we're talking about the different prophecies the Prophet ﷺ had regarding Ya'juj and Ma'juj specifically, or regarding the invasions that were going to happen to the Islamic world that happened towards the end of the Abbasi Caliphate, or it's just a lot of history, a lot of text that you would have to go and break down. This is not the point. Going through it would kind of maybe kill even the vibe of learning from the story. But I will inshallah, because I've been asked this question too many times to ignore it. I will make a specific timing to talk about the alamat as-sa'a al-kubra, or alamat as-sa'a b'shakl 'am, the signs of the Day of Judgment, because there's a lot of confusion regarding a lot of these signs and what they are, what they mean, and how we're supposed to understand them, how we're supposed to deal with them. And there's a lot of myths that are built around them, and there's an ill and problematic mentality that is attached to them. There's a problematic way of looking at these things that only bring passivity, only bring oblivion and indifference to our ummah because of the way that we look at them. So I will, inshallah, I won't rip you off by not talking about it all, but to go into the details of this, we this is not the, the goal of the story itself, at least within the surah that we're studying, inshallah. Okay, so just read the ayah, the last ayah of the page, inshallah. فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَن يَظْهَرُوهُ وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَحْمَةٌ مِّن رَّبِّي فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكا وكان وعد ربي حقا وتركنا بعضهم يومئذ يموج في بعض فما استطاعوا أن يظهروه. They did not have the capacity to go over it. وما استطاعوا له نقبا. They did not have the ability to go through it. And why استطاع and استطاع? The same thing when I talked about it in the previous story. إذا زاد بزيادة المبنى زيادة المعنى. So when you add a letter, you add a meaning. So استطاع is used for doing something that is relatively easier than doing something that you use the word استطاع for. So which is easier, to go over it or to go through it? Obviously, go over it is much easier than going through it. So فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَن يَظْهَرُوهُ. They couldn't go over it, and the word استطاع was used, and then going through it, قَالُوا وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا, because it's much more difficult. So they couldn't do it either. And this shows you that Dhul Qarnayn, he had all the angles. So he was perfecting what he was doing. There's two ways for them to breach this. They can breach it by going over it. So we have to make it high enough. That's why sawa bayna as-sadafayn has to be leveled, and we have to make sure that it's thick enough. Radima. We have to make sure that there's two layers and the layer in the middle, or else they'll be able to go through it. And they couldn't do either. So once and he stood around long enough to observe. Again, you see the investment that Dhul Qarnayn is putting for the people that he's standing by. So he stood to see it's the time for their raid, it's their annual or sub-annual timing for the raid of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They come, they can't make it through. They try to go through it, they try to go over it, they can't do it, and they go back, they retreat. So Dhul Qarnayn says, قَالَ هَذَا رَحْمَةٌ مِّن رَبِّي. This is an act of mercy of my Lord. The difference between him and Qarun, they sound similar, but Dhul Qarnayn قال هذا رحمة من ربي. This is a mercy from my Lord that this worked out. He said أوتيته على علم عندي قارون. I got it because I deserved it. فخسفنا به. So the earth swallowed him and everything that he had. See the difference. Dhul Qarnayn stands قال هذا رحمة من ربي. This is an act of mercy from my Lord. And then he reminds everyone standing there. فإذا جاء وعد ربي. And when the time comes, when the promise of our Lord comes, whether he is referring to the fact that on the day of judgment nothing will stay standing, or whether he's referring to the fact that everything that goes high one day will fall down. Everything that soars will fall one day. I mean, nothing stays standing forever. I don't know what he's referring to, but either wins. فإذا جاء وعد ربي جعله دكا. Dakka means it will be leveled with the ground. It will be destroyed. It won't be this beautiful monument this beautiful barrier that we have built together that pushed back the raiders, and of course the people are celebrating. Imagine this group, they're used to every year losing a couple hundred of their people. Have to rebuild all their houses. They're being looted and robbed and raped and killed, and now this year nothing. So they're celebrating, and Dhul Qarnayn reminds them two things. First of all, it is all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is an act of mercy from your Lord. Always refer things back to Him, Jalla Jalaluhu. So to humble them. And then to remind them of reality that nothing stays forever. No matter how great you see it. فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي جَعَلَهُ دَكَّا وَكَانَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي حَقًّا. And the promise of my Lord is truth. And everything that stands one day will fall, and the day will come where everything will go. وَتَرَكْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ. And you can see, and we left Ya'juj and Ma'juj surging amongst each other. Trying, because they couldn't get through. So the vision or the image of Ya'juj and Ma'juj as Dhul Qarnayn was standing on the mountains, you can see them as they're fighting amongst one another. As they say, the fire, if it can't burn anything, it will burn itself. And you can see them fighting amongst one another because they can't get through, because they're used to coming and getting the loot. And barbarians, basically. A barbaric tribe that was trying to kill everyone. And once they couldn't do it, we could see them. وَتَرَكْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ. And we could see them surging amongst one another, fighting before they retreated or left the land that they were in. That is the end of the story of Dhul Qarnayn. It finishes right in the middle of ayah number 99. What comes next in the surah is a snapshot of Yawm al-Qiyamah, the final one in this surah. This final snapshot of Yawm al-Qiyamah is attached directly to the summary of the surah, or to the final few messages that you will take. That's why you find most people enjoy or find it very, or they find it very beautiful, the end of Surat AlKahf, and you enjoy reading it because of the beauty of the ayat that are in it. And the summary of Surat AlKahf is very beautiful. It puts together a lot of the ideas that Surat AlKahf has talked about. What do we take away from the story of Dhul Qarnayn? This is the ultimate goal. This is what we're supposed to be working towards, right? It's like Surat AlKahf took us on a journey. We started humbly with a couple of youth fighting to hold on to their idea. But they're perfecting that idea, they're structurizing it, they're coming up with a clear understanding, their values, they're listing their values, they're revising it when they feel the values aren't working out. They go back, they retreat to the cave, and they think again, and they come up with, they need to know what they stand for. They're making sure that they understand what they stand for and who they are, right? We started with, it was simple, and then we moved on to two people. One had faith, one did not, and they both had wealth. And their understanding of wealth is very different. What wealth did for both of them was very different. And the understanding of that concept of you having things, of you owning and having possessions in life, and what that could do for you and what it could do against you. They moved towards the third example. We saw Musa alayhi salam thinking he knew it all because he had all the information up in his head, but he didn't know that practically things are very different. To take the theory and put it into practice and to actually be on the ground with people is a whole different thing. And we got to see Al-Khadr teaching him how to go through life and how to gain perspective and how to actually make things happen and deal with it. And not lose faith and not lose your mind and not struggle with day-to-day interactions that you may not be able to understand or to be able to see logically when they do happen. You're gaining, every time you're gaining something, you're gaining the ideology, you're gaining the wealth, you're gaining the knowledge. And then you come to the final product of all that. The final product is this strength, is this civilization or population or community or society that has strength, that is full from the inside. They have confidence, they have the numbers, they know what they stand for, they've generated their own wealth, their knowledge, they have experts and professionals amongst them, they know what to do. And then they go around seeing what do people need and they offer it to them. Because I didn't ask these questions at the beginning of the story, but why was Dhul Qarnayn walking around the earth? I mean, what was he doing? Why was he roaming? The Quran went out of its way to tell us that it was from Maghrib to Mashriq. Like the Quran made sure that we know that he went from the far west to the far east. It's not like he just was going around within the vicinity. No. He went on a far voyage, very, very far away. And then he went and found people living between Saddain, like living between two mountains, huge mountains. What took you there? Why would you go? He's searching. He's searching for those who may need the khair that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon him. And when he finds them, he offers it to them. He is not there to conquer them. He is not there to enslave them. He is not there to steal from them what they've got. He is not there to make them feel less than him. No, he's there to say, what is it that you're missing? Here's what you need. Wallahi. Whatever it is that's missing you, you're missing the law, you're missing the wealth, you're missing the knowledge, you're missing the help, we're there to offer it to you. Isn't that the concept of, isn't that what we're supposed to be? Isn't that what Muslims are? This is what Muslims are supposed to be. This is the image of what Islam is supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to be. It's very, very embarrassing when you read Surat AlKahf. But this is what, and to make this worse, you're supposed to read the surah every week. You're supposed to read this page every single week and look at Dhul Qarnayn and feel horrible about yourself. Right? Every single week we're supposed to read it and then feel, why aren't we there yet? And which group are we? And how are we going to leave being this group to be another one? How are you going to turn things around? Can it happen and will it happen? If it's happened before. If you study Islamic history, the ups and downs were many. It wasn't, I know, sometimes it's explained to us that it was a soaring up and then it just fell. No. It was ups and downs many different parts of the Islamic world. Some parts of the Islamic world were flourishing while others were falling. It wasn't all at the same time. It's a matter of kind of studying. The Andalus was at its peak when the Abbasiyin had no idea what they were doing, when they were slaughtering scholars. It was a very different time. And the Muslims have the ability, and once they're capable of taking all three elements, you will see khair. Khair that will spread everywhere, for everyone. And it won't be based on masalih, on personal interest. It won't be based on dominance. It won't be based on control. It will be based on spreading khair. And this is the story that we have for Dhul Qarnayn. Someone who walked the earth, literally went from the farthest he could find in the west and the farthest he could go in the east. Went to the middle of the mountains where no one's there, looking to find people who needed help, and they would invest his time. What was the easiest out of these stories? What was the shortest story? The people who needed what? Just to kind of make you think.
The middle.
Yeah, what did they need? They lacked what? Wealth. The simplest thing. Not even worth to tell a whole story. Money, khud money. But you want money, here's money. Money will come. Money is not a big problem. Money, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put oil under you one day, and money will come flying from under the earth in a form of black tar. You don't know what it's going to look like. Money will come. Money is the easiest fix. If money is what we're lacking, it's the easiest fix. Or it should be the easiest fix. If anything that's going to work, if anything we want to work, we want to flourish, and all that's missing is money, that shouldn't be a problem. Money is an easy fix. But it's the law that's hard to fix. It's the knowledge that's the hardest to fix. When we don't know how to do things, we don't have the willpower, we don't have the organization, we don't have the expertise of how to get this done. We don't know how to run our own institutions and to take care of our own societies and to make sure that our kids grow up with an Islamic identity that they're proud of, that they want to contribute to, and they can see a goal that they want to be a part of. And if we can't generate that for them, then what's the point of being here? And why are we alive as Muslims to begin with if this is not happening? Dhul Qarnayn just walked the earth, establishing khair for everyone. The easiest fix was the money. Easiest one of all. You guys are poor, here. Clothe yourselves, build some houses, you'll be okay. But when you come to people who don't know how to protect themselves from external threats, I like to, I think it's worthy of reflection that their problem, the third group, was the external threats. They couldn't protect themselves. Today we have external threats. They don't come in the form of Ya'juj and Ma'juj from a physical perspective. We don't have them raiding our houses, killing our children and taking our money. But we do have external threats that come into our houses in a different way. Come through screens, and they come through mentalities, and they come through the schools, and they come through the streets, and it comes into our house and it invades our homes, and it invades the way we speak to one another, and invades the way we think about our lives, and it invades the mentalities and the state of mind of our children and of our youth. It's coming in, and it's worse. When we talk about globalization, the first one to actually practice it, Dhul Qarnayn, but differently, not by trying to destroy the cultures of others and dominate them, but rather to see what they need, what they're lacking. It's a nahda, it's an uprising with iman, it's an uprising with values of khair, where you're looking at people, seeing their need, and then giving, because you know what it means to need, because you understand what the elements are. You know that if I didn't have guidance, I couldn't do anything. That if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give me wealth, that I couldn't make a move. That if I wasn't blessed with knowledge and expertise and practice, then I couldn't do anything. You know that. They may not know what their problem is, so they're fighting amongst each other, or they're cursing their luck, but you know, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has educated you, understand exactly what it is that you've got, and what is it that they lack, and how blessed you are to have it, so you give it. And once you give it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases you. And وَآتَيْنَاهُ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ سَبَبًا. And you have a mean to everything, and the means will just keep on increasing, and you'll just get more. Give instead of take. Isn't that the mentality of Dhul Qarnayn? Give, don't worry. Give, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you. I think that's the message we're supposed to take away from the story of Dhul Qarnayn. As Muslims, we have to maybe revise the way we look at life, and revise the goals we're trying to achieve. All we've got, our bread and butter, are the communities that we live in. Today, the Muslim world is probably at one of its worst situations it's ever been at for a long, long time. Within history, there have been horrible moments. We're coming close to one of those, really low moments. I'm not sure how far we're going to keep on going down, but it's not looking very good. Politically, intellectually, mentally, religiously, practitionally, financially, militarily, socially. We're not making the milestone. We're not meeting the milestones. We're not reaching our goals at all. What we have left as people living in the West is that we have our societies, we have our communities, and we have the ability to build them strong. We have the ability to make examples of them for ourselves and for others. We can actually show that this works, and it works well. And when it works, then everyone will be able to see the khair that comes from it. And then you won't be weak anymore as a group. You won't be just trying to make it. We're not just struggling to stay up above the water. Rather, our product, and our product, what is the product of the Muslim world? It's the human being. It always has been. It's been the person. The investment is in the person. We produce a generation of people who have so much to offer, and then they offer it, and then that becomes what people talk about, what they see. And we have the ability to do it if we just read Surat AlKahf maybe a bit more. Just keep on reading it. Just you're supposed to read it every week, so read it every week. If you're not reading it every week, I should have, inshallah, this whole series, and once we're done the surah, will give you enough incentive to read it every week and see if you can come up with something new. If you can learn something that you didn't know before. If something stands out for you, or you can identify, this is something I can work on. Because we have to be working, all of us, towards that common goal of something similar to Dhul Qarnayn, where we have established the power of our society to the point where we have all the elements, so we have it in abundance, and then the khair is spread to everyone. That is da'wah. When you think of it, is there a better form of da'wah? There's no better form of da'wah than the da'wah that Dhul Qarnayn does. That is the best form of da'wah. Hands down, by all means. There's nothing better. What I'm doing right now, this is nothing. Wallahi, it's zero in comparison to something that is even remotely close to what Dhul Qarnayn offered. Because it's a different form, it's a different concept, and it's a different type. And I hope, inshallah, that was, I think it's almost, okay, we'll stop with that. Next time we will continue, inshallah. Next time we'll finish Surat AlKahf. I'll recite, inshallah, the summary, or the end, because it's all one passage. Once you start, وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ, you have to run down to the end of the page for it all to make sense, inshallah. So we'll continue, and we'll conclude, inshallah, next week after Salat al-Isha. Subhanaka wa bihamdika, la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.